Stage 2 evaluation results. The Stage 2 evaluation included criteria for route design, schedule design, route productivity, and service delivery. Similar to Stage 1, data availability was an issue, and only routes or systems with data could be evaluated. In the route design category, we looked at bus stop spacing. The bus stop spacing criteria was used to evaluate existing spacing between bus stops. Just over 30 of the 76 routes had data on bus stop spacing. Of these, many routes were found to have too many bus stops per mile. These routes should be assessed to determine if their stop spacing is appropriate by the individual transit agency. We also looked at bus stop amenities. The Bus Stop Amenities Guideline was used to prioritize bus stops for installation of benches and shelters. This analysis could be done only for the Greater Bridgeport Transit Service because the other transit operators do not collect passenger boarding information at the bus stop level. Greater Bridgeport Transit bus stop candidates for shelters and benches were identified based upon the evaluation, and Greater Bridgeport Transit should check to see if those locations meet the guideline. At a minimum, all bus stops throughout the state should be required to have a bus stop sign and a pole, a stable and clear waiting area, and signage with bus route information. In the schedule design category, we looked at headways, which is the time between buses. The headway assessment was used to determine if service levels were sufficient to support ridership demand or if too much service was being provided given ridership levels. Only 14 of the 76 routes had data available to evaluate this criterion. For those routes that could be evaluated, most were operating too much service and should be evaluated by the individual transit operator. We also looked at span of service, which is how long the bus operates in a day. The criteria was used to determine what times and how long bus service should run, based on ridership on the first and last trips for that route. Few of the transit operators had the necessary passenger load data by trip to conduct this assessment. For the routes that were evaluated, it was found that service span hours are appropriate for the level of ridership demand in their coverage area. It is recommended that automated passenger count technology be expanded to all bus systems so that information can be routinely collected and its performance metric assessed. This technology is being deployed on many buses within Connecticut today. In the route productivity category, we measured passenger trips per revenue mile. Measuring passenger trips per revenue mile is a metric used to evaluate the efficiency of routes. A route with a low number of passengers per revenue mile has low utilization. On the other hand, a route with too many passengers per revenue mile might have overcrowding issues. Only 43 routes could be evaluated. Several were found to have low levels of utilization. For those routes and the routes that could not be evaluated, transit agencies should review the routes for specific causes of low productivity. We also looked at fare box recovery. Fare box recovery is a metric that measures how much fare revenue covers the cost of providing service. This was calculated at the transit agency level because insufficient data was available at the route level. 12 of the 19 transit operators were evaluated for this criteria. It is recommended that transit operators evaluate their low utilization routes. Making routes more productive, that is, carrying more passengers per trip, can improve fare box revenue. Continuing in the route productivity category, we looked at revenue to non-revenue miles. The revenue to non-revenue miles ratio provides insight about how efficiently a route is scheduled. Non-revenue miles are incurred when a bus travels from its depot to the starting point of the route and vice versa. Revenue miles represent miles accrued when the bus is picking up and dropping off passengers. Ideally, a bus should travel only a short distance to begin or end revenue service. Of the 76 routes, only 24 routes could be evaluated for this criterion. For those routes that were evaluated, transit agencies should consider running more service to increase revenue miles or consider smaller secondary storage locations or relocating storage facilities. Also, it should be investigated if two transit agencies could share the same depot to reduce non-revenue miles for both. In the service delivery category, we measured average distance between bus failures. Average distance between bus failures is a metric used to measure overall vehicle availability for service. Understanding how often buses are taken out of service for repairs helps agencies understand and improve their service reliability. This data was not available at the route level and was evaluated at the system level. Several systems had more frequent breakdowns compared to the statewide average. It is recommended that these agencies review the vehicles in their fleet to identify any patterns or adjust their maintenance schedules to prevent future failures from happening. However, the good news is new buses are on the way for several systems. Also on the service delivery area, we looked at the fleet average age. Fleet average age measures overall fleet performance and vehicle availability for service. Older vehicles and fleets are more likely to have components and parts that are worn out or defective. If buses need to be taken out of service, this leaves agencies with fewer vehicles to operate service. If buses have heaters or air conditioners that don't work, this affects passenger comfort. The average age for vehicles in the statewide system was compared to the Federal Transit Administration's minimum useful service life guidelines. Any fleet with vehicles above 2/3 of their useful life were identified as these vehicles might be candidates for replacement or rehabilitation. The fleets for most of the statewide transit agencies are above 2/3 of their useful life. It is recommended that all agencies examine their fleets. As mentioned, in the next 2 years, many transit operators will be replacing some or most of their buses, which will help improve fleet performance. We would like your feedback again. The purpose of these questions is to help us understand your experience using the bus.